This comes to us from Fox13News.com out of Tampa, Florida. This is an interesting one because you're going to hear something here and you're going to go, things that make you go, huh?
Today at the trial of a man accused of killing a mother of 5 nearly 2 years ago. Prosecutors say the man behind the wheel was high on meth when he plowed into her vehicle. But the defense argues that someone else was driving. Fox 13's Gloria Gomez tells us who attorneys are now blaming for the crash.
Jeremy Guerrero is headed to trial feeling pretty good about his chances in court because most of Guerrero's statements to police have been thrown out, which means anything incriminating he may have said won't be heard by the jury. A Tampa judge ruled Guerrero's rights to remain silent were violated. The judge said once the defendant asked for a lawyer, the interview with the detectives should have ended. Therefore, anything obtained afterward is out.
Guerrero is accused of causing a crash that killed 57-year-old Maria Perez on I-75. They say he plowed into Perez's vehicle and she slammed into a tree head-on. The mother of 5 died at the scene.
The defendant's actions on November 15, 2019 were not simply just careless. They were criminal.
But defense attorney Brian Camerino points out one key question.
Now, Guerrero is charged with DUI manslaughter after investigators say he caused a deadly crash on November 15, 2019 that killed 57-year-old Maria Perez on Interstate 75 near Big Bend Road. Guerrero, I guess, was allegedly high on meth when he plowed into Perez's vehicle and she slammed head-on into a tree, fatally injuring her. Now, Guerrero bonded out after the crash, but later was thrown back in jail for breaking some of the bail conditions. During a hearing this January, Maria's daughter, Yanceli Brown, wanted him to stay locked up. She said he has the privilege to speak to his mother. I no longer have that privilege. He robbed me of that. He's a menace to society and a murderer of my mother.
FHP troopers say Jeremy Guerrero was high on meth the day he caused a fatal crash.
Very jittery. He was clenching his jaw. He was unable to focus on the topic.
After he agrees to a series of field sobriety tests, he's driven to a fire station to provide a blood sample. And it's during this drive he realizes he may be in big trouble.
We hit another car. Veered her off the road to hit a tree.
He finds out the other driver died. Immediately, he tries to shift the blame to a woman in the car with him named Mary.
She's messed up. She was the driver and it's her car. It's because she was high. You know what I mean? And she insisted on driving all the way back.
That's what the jury got to see on the first day of testimony.
However, Guerrero says he's innocent. Listen to this. Listen real careful. Court records show DNA evidence points to his passenger being behind the wheel, not Guerrero.
They didn't know who the driver was.
He says prosecutors will have to explain why the DNA points to someone else.
How accurate do you think DNA evidence is? See, this is a question for DNA evidence. This is an issue that they're going to have to argue DNA, and they're going to have to argue witness statement and who was behind the wheel, and this is a weird one. Now, when they say DNA evidence, I'm not sure what they're talking about. They're talking about fingerprints on. You can hear my bird. My bird is just hungry, I guess. I'm going to feed you breakfast. Shut up. But what are they talking about when they say DNA evidence? Are they talking about fingerprints on the steering wheel?
When they examined the driver's side airbag, it wasn't Mr. Guerrero's DNA that was on the driver's side airbag. It was Mary's.
Camerino says Guerrero's DNA was on the passenger side airbag. However, prosecutors insist it was Guerrero behind the wheel. Now a jury will have to decide who's right. Gloria Gomez, Fox 13 News.
This could be a questionable one for the police. Guy asked for a lawyer. They violate his right to remain silent. He's charged with DUI manslaughter. DNA evidence points to the other guy was driving. This is a weird one.